Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, we will be going over some of the updates that some classes are getting for patch 8.3. As Blizzard keeps reiterating on classes, buffing and nerfing certain aspects for the next patch, Whispers of N'Zoth, as well as other goodies that other classes are getting in general. So this will be an update primarily for Mystery Monk's massive buffs, as well as other things that I found interesting. First of all, in Shadowlands, we'll be getting a lot more pieces that go on your back. A lot more different cloaks, quote unquote, that will be in various different shapes. One of the newest cloaks that we saw, if you did the recruiter friend thing, whether with a friend or a bunch of dummy accounts, then you were able to get the Traveler's Backpack. Well, good thing the Blizzard is adding an earnable backpack that you can get in the game. One of the things you'll be doing in 8.3 is doing horrific visions. From horrific visions, you'll get this currency in order to do better at your next horrific vision. And there you'll also be able to farm up this backpack. An actual backpack that goes in your character with the dark Dragonflight Rathian style to it. Overall, huge fan of this. Overall, another reason for anybody who does not know what horrific visions are to give them a go in patch 8.3. I think this is an awesome update to get people trying this new brand piece of content. If you're making a Death Knight in patch 8.3, Blizzard added an extra flavor thing for brand new Death Knights added with patch 8.3. I believe this is either going to be available for allied race Death Knights or for any of the newer Death Knight created after patch 8.3. The Death Knights in patch 8.3 are going to get a different introduction, and you will have a lot more allied races available. I'm pretty sure the storyline is going to involve Bolvar this time with the whole Shadowlands upcoming thing. So with more Death Knights coming out to the game, they are going to get a different buff for Blood Death Knight called Veteran of the 4th War. If you go on your Death Knight right now and go into Blood Spec, you will see that you have a buff called Veteran of the 3rd War that increases your stamina by a set amount. Veteran of the 4th War will have exactly the same effect. However, it's simply just going to be a different flavor text since those Death Knights were risen at a different time of the game. So while the original Death Knights are going to keep Veteran of 3rd War, the newer Death Knights will have Veteran of 4th War, which I think is a very nice touch. Tanking is getting some updates for patch 8.3. With everybody getting better gear and more essence slots on their necklaces, tanks are going to have a harder time increasing how much thread they generate. With everybody else getting better gear in 8.3 and more essences to play with, it is going to be a lot more damage for all the DPS dealers. But tanks need to also do more damage in order to counteract with the threat aggro. So Blizzard is simply going to be putting a band-aid for tanks to increase how much thread they generate in patch 8.3. There's going to be a lot of new tanks coming into patch 8.3, as well as a lot more players checking out a brand new patch and a brand new raid of World of Warcraft. So Blizzard is adding this change for 8.3 right now for any new tanks getting into the game, so they'll have a little bit easier time tanking and holding threat from all the other high-powered, high-damage dealers. This will also be a nice change for any of you that are endgame raiders in Heroic or maybe even Mythic raiding, and you do some mid-tier to high-end Mythic Plus keys. This could potentially allow tanks to hold aggro at a distance without always having to be smacking mobs around, which might allow tanks in Mythic Plus dungeons, for example, to have a little bit more kite capability. Only time will tell. We're also looking at a slight nerf to Unholy Death Knights in terms of their Necrotic Strike. Necrotic Strike on PTR reads that will only necrotic 4% of enemies' health. With Death Knights getting better gear, more haste, and more stats, you should be able to get through your abilities a little bit faster and generate resources faster. So maybe this change is simply to offset the amount of Necrotic Strikes Death Knights will be putting up in the next patch. But yes, Necrotic Strikes are getting a very slight nerf. Majority of you guys won't notice the difference because Death Knights are still going to be hitting targets fairly hard with brand new gear. So this change, I guess, is to offset portions of that type of gameplay. Finally, Mystery Monks are getting a massive healing increase. If you're someone who's been a Mystery Monk main, this might be your time to shine. Just about every ability from Vivify, Life Cocoon, Renewing Mist, Renewal, Enveloping Mist, and more are getting a massive healing upgrade. This would be a perfect time to take advantage of this brand new opportunity for any Mistweavers out there to dive into some raids and some dungeons, as Blizzard is trying to up their healing just a little bit more to be competitive with other healers. They also fixed a bug for Mistral Monks in terms of one of the essences and interactions. It's one of the newer essences from patch 8.3, so it's not something that we have used or seen before. It's just good to know that Blizzard is taking those kinks out and working them out ASAP. From the people that I usually do my keys with, I did get some confirmation that the Mistral buffs should be quite nice for any Mythic Plus situations, and it should make them insanely good. For anything in terms of raid, it doesn't really seem like it's going to allow Mistweavers to overtake Discipline Priests or Holy Paladins, but with how the meta is changing for the next patch, primarily dealing with the fact that Brewmaster Monk as a tank is getting some slight nerfs in order not to be ahead of other tanks, and potentially other tanks being better, something like a Blood Death Knight. There's a lot of magic damage happening in the new raid, so Blood Death Knights that can heal themselves will be able to deal with magic damage easier. Vengeance Demon Hunters that have a passive magic damage debuff, so they take less damage from magic, will be able to be healed easier. Then there's Protection Warriors who also have Spell Reflect, which will be nice as a cooldown to deal with magic debuffs. And then there's Protection Paladin who also have a way of self-healing, but also have wards in order to deal with magic damage as well. So if your raid composition right now is going to be trying out a different tank for this brand new tier, that will allow Mistweavers to be the healer in order to provide a melee buff for all your melee. A lot more of a reason for people to want to try get good at Mistweaver and give it a solid go. Last update, we have ourselves the Rock Boy, the essence you get from Eternal Palace, getting yet another nerf. Prior, we had the Rock Boy apply a debuff on an enemy that increased your damage to that enemy by 5%. This debuff is getting nerfed down to 3% in order to make it a little bit less good. But it seems that the Rock Boy was still too good, as the damage he outputs by himself is quite a lot, so Blizzard is reducing slightly just how often he casts his Azeroth spikes to try to make that essence a little bit worse as a single target. This is done on purpose to make sure that the new essence that is linked to the new raid of Neolotha is a better single target choice than the current one we have right now. No one wants to be jumping into patch 8.3 and having to go do the last raid in order to be the best at single target. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. It's really cool that Blizzard is adding flavor things to Death Knights, the backpack, the fact that we have one early before Shadowlands or any other clothes that we'll get in Shadowlands. I think it's super awesome. I'm hoping to see more Mistweavers around, and I'm hoping to see more Mistweavers competing in Mythic Pluses. And I wonder if the new affix is going to change the meta. I know it's really hard to overtake Restoration Druids for Mythic Pluses. They've been really good because healing over time is incredible, and the damage they can put out is quite nasty. But I wonder if we'll see any changes whatsoever, maybe in specific compositions, for the next season. Thank you guys so much for checking this video. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.